Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and excuse my voice. It will last as long as it lasts right now, but last night at our council meeting, everyone was hoping it would give out earlier. So with that, I want to welcome everyone to the Thursday, May 18th, 2017 MCAG regular meeting. And could we at this time please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Roll call, please.
Oh, there she is. Okay, good.
Do we have a? Let's see here. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Director Hogue, Director Lohr,
Here.
Director McCabe, Director McDaniel,
Present.
Director Murphy.
Here.
Director O'Banion,
Here.
Director Oliveira,
Here.
Director Pereira, Director Price, Director Espinoza, Chair Vialta.
Be here. Okay, we do have a quorum.
One note,
Yes.
Mr. McGlynn is here for April Hope representing Dos.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on to approval of agenda. Do I have a motion?
So move to approve the agenda?
Okay, do I have a second?
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned by Murphy, second by McDaniels to approve the agenda stated. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Let's go on to public comment. You have 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to speak during the public portion? Not seeing or hearing anyone, I will close the public comment section and go on to item 5, ECO award presentation, DIBS. This is information item. Lisa, are you here? No one's here? Okay. All right, let's go on to item 6, minutes. It's an action item. Regional Waste Management Authority Board meeting of April 20th, 2017. Transit Joint Powers Authority for Merced County Board meeting for April 20th, 2017. Merced County Associations of Governments Board meeting of April 20th, 2017. Do I have a motion or anyone want to remove one for discussion? Who was that? Director O'Banion? Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by O'Banion, second by Murphy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Let's go on to item 7, Citizens Advisory Committee report. Jack Jackson? Okay, so does it go on automatically? Does the mic go on?
The Citizens Advisory Committee met on May the 5th, and we had 5 action items to review and approve. The first item was the Transit Joint Powers Authority for Merced County fiscal year 2017-18 draft budget. There was a motion, it was carried and unanimously approved. The second item was the 2017-18 budget and overall work program. That was also, a motion was made, it was carried unanimously. The third item is the award contract for the 2018 Regional Transportation Plan. That motion was made and carried unanimously on that one. The fourth item was the Measure V Citizens Oversight Committee assignments. Motion was made and was carried unanimously. The fifth item was the unmet transit needs finding of fact for fiscal year 2017-18. That item was motioned and carried unanimously. I don't have any other comments.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Jackson? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on to item 8, Merced County Regional Waste Management Authority. Item 8, oral report, Merced County Regional Waste Management Authority monthly update. Brooks, information only.
Good afternoon, and stop me if you have any questions. Tonnage, again, is fantastic from a revenue standpoint, and you can see the story every month is Billy Wright. That's probably about twice the normal tonnage, and that's pretty much all coming in from the Bay Area. And that will come back up again when we talk about the property purchase. We have expansions underway. They're at the consultants right now. There appear to be no hurdles. Highway 59 has an issue, and I've got a couple slides on that so to keep you guys informed. Billy Wright, the 600 acres north of the landfill, it looks like that's still a possibility. We are still analyzing the restrictions. There's pipelines going across the property. We have to have some setbacks. So we want to make sure that the bang is going to be worth the buck, and then we would potentially want to compare that with some other site. And so not just say this is the one and only place we should buy, but look around. Merced County is still coming to us. I believe they're 2 to 3 days a week, right, still? And again, we hope that that ends up being an option for our food waste down the line, so we don't have to invest that money into a system. UC Merced, I'm pretty much contacting them on a weekly basis to keep them on track. The good news is that they've given us how much they anticipate their energy need to be, and it's about twice what we can produce. So seems like they would want to commit to buying all of ours, but that's the thing. We haven't been able to get them to actually state how much they'll buy. They've said what they'll pay for kilowatt, but not what they'll purchase. And so we haven't been able to gain much ground on the PPA. It's been distributed. So we probably will have an agenda item next month. Stacy and I have talked about it quite a bit, of how much do we want to risk financially before we get the PPA signed. So what they're asking for right now is some conceptual drawings and some 3D renderings of the site and other options, because it has to go through the CEQA process. So they would like to see those before they commit. We would like to see them commit to the purchase, and then we would do the permitting. They kind of want a mixture. So to keep the ball rolling, we think we still think it's a good bet. So we think we should communicate with you, get you to decide on a dollar figure, it's 100,000 or something that we could put into this project and get the design work started, and then see if we can get the PPA done. But that'll be next month. Just put the bug in your ear. And another one that came up is construction costs. We have multiple projects going on right now. Those were all engineered and designed, engineers reviewed the design and estimated the cost based on prior expenses and what we had done at Highway 59 and Billy Wright. And last year, the end of last year, our consultants bid out a couple projects. It was 10% above what was anticipated. And this year, they've already bid out a couple more. It was 13%. So they're telling us because of the boom in the economy, the construction is busy, and so we can expect to see a margin on all of our capital projects. Okay, any question on those updates? I have a couple more. Yes, sir.
This question comes up continually, and I don't want to be hammered all the time. The Billy Wright extension. Currently, if we didn't extend Billy Wright, and with the current tonnage coming in, what's the life expectancy?
If we stay at this current tonnage, it'll drop it down to about 25 years.
25 years.
Right, we had 40 to 50. This is going to drop it down in the 25 range.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying we're going to have to talk about this one way or another. Either we want to stop making the revenue and extend the life of the landfill, or we want to purchase additional property.
But purchasing additional property is not out of the realm, though, correct?
No, in fact, we've kind of looked around, and we think there's 2 other sites that might actually work. Now, one of them is a little more beneficial for importing waste if you want to do that from out of the county, because it's going to be closer to the 5. The other one would be on the east side of Los Banos.
Okay.
Towards that interchange, I can't remember what that's called. That everybody knows the name but me. The interchange that's east of Merced. Los Banos, excuse me.
59 and
It's the Y.
oh,
It's the Y.
Palos Y.
It's the Y. Yes, near the Y.
Oh, well, Jerry
That's
should
his-
know that name.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So,
Okay.
we'll find out where it is and mark that off.
We'll talk about your 700 acres some other time, Jerry. Okay, so one way or the other, we'll have the conversation whether to reduce and extend or extend and continue,
Right, it's totally your decision.
okay? And there won't be a problem with environmental protection? Do you foresee any problems with them? Or wherever governs waste management and opening up a new site?
No, well, you have total control of that. No one can open up a landfill without your approvals.
No, I'm talking about if we want to extend or open up one up, are we going to have any federal problems with doing that? Or state problems, do you foresee?
We will try to pick sites that have, the best chance of passing CEQA.
Okay,
I mean, that'll be our first, the first criteria is that we won't get too many protests.
and what's our timeline for that?
We're still waiting to see what happens with this, so I would say it'd be 2 to 3 months out before we could actually bring something to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, any other questions for Brooks? Those items? Okay,
A little more update.
go.
Okay. We have some environmental issues, and I just want to keep you abreast of those. I don't want you to hear about these from somewhere else. And I know we've talked about a couple of these before, so I'm going to go real fast, but I just want to remind you that we have some mitigations and some migration issues at both sites. So just so you know, again, remind you, this is a picture of all the gas monitoring and probes that we have at Highway 59. There's more at 59 than at Billy Wright, but this just gives you an idea. And I don't expect you to see the detail there, but just know that we have 25 groundwater wells. We have 35 gas wells that are 3 different depths, so there's 105 of those. Got 80 gas wells, another almost a mile of perforated pipe collecting gas. That all goes over to the flare, and that everything is monitored, depending on what it is, weekly up to semi-annually. So there are people on site pretty much every day doing some type of monitoring. So if there's issues with the landfills, they're probably going to be found, or we think they'll be found. So there's just a couple of the monitoring wells. And then you've seen these pictures of the gas collection system and the pipeline, and it goes to the flare and we burn it. So one of the old issues, this has been around for I think probably 20 years, is a gas migrating in the groundwater underneath the unlined cells at the south end of the property. And so you see the landfill entrance there on the left and the unlined area, and that red represents the plume or where there's some gas in the groundwater table. And then at the very south end, it's just cut off there, is the Regert property, and that's the one where we had to purchase that easement so we can re-drill the wells because the groundwater table dropped and we can no longer test. And again, they have a well that's below that, and we provide them with drinking water, so we don't know that there's, as far as we know, they're not impacted. But just remind you, the groundwater flows underneath. We put a pump and treat system in, and so it goes through a filter tank and drains onto the site. And again, you've seen all these pictures before. I'm just reminding you that we have the tanks that we're pulling out about 16 million gallons a year and cleaning that water. It will be probably at least 5 years before we know if this has any impact on the groundwater at all. These are long-term fixes. Another issue that we have at Highway 59 that you've seen before, again, the unlined cell and that yellow line represents our eastern property boundary. And so we have groundwater wells, 4 of them along that side. The 2 red ones, we've had hits with methane. So we put a series of gas wells in, and now we only have 1 well that's hot. Again, it's a long-term fix. We hope to address it. It's gotten better every month, but it's not completely gone. And then at Billy Wright, we have a new issue. We've never had any hits over there for gas migrating. Similar situation, old unlined cell, and we've got the new lined area and a well over on the left side, or it's north of the property, got a hit. And so what we soon happened with all the rain we got this year, the clay cap sealed and became impermeable to the gas, and so it went laterally, and then it couldn't get out through the liner, and so it's popping up over on the edge. So that's pretty much, we've never seen it before. We had all this rain, so we're pretty certain that's what happened. So we are putting, it's not at our perimeter yet, so we're going to put some wells actually at the fence line to make sure it hasn't left the property, or hopefully it hasn't. So just to summarize, we've spent in the last roughly 10 years, $4 to $5 million on all the monitoring and all these issues as far as the actual infrastructure. And then we spend about $400,000 a year just routine maintenance, not additional things that are happening like at Billy Wright. And once we close the sites, we have to monitor the sites while they're open, and then once they close, there's a 30-year clock that starts, and it probably will continue beyond that, but we have to have about $21 million in the bank whenever we close the site, and so we do not have that cash. That's a pledge of revenue was executed some years ago, where we kind of did an IOU, and so what we're proposing in a few years is once the bond is paid off, we start adding to this fund. Any questions? Oh, well, excuse me, one last slide. So we know that some things are going to happen. The groundwater table drops every year, so every year we have to drill a certain amount of wells deeper. You can't drill them too deep because they want them in a certain zone, so we have to drill them each time. We expect more gas migrations, or there's potential for that, and we have to add more wells, and there's just going to be more corrective action over time. Again, this is the old 70s, 80s landfills. We know of no problems with lined areas. Those seem to be working great. And we've started to plan for this. So in 14-15, we identified all of the potential mitigations, put those in the budget. 15-16, we put 25% of our expenses into a separate, or into our operating accounts. We always have about 2.5 million unrestricted right there. And then because an emergency might happen and we need to address it within the day or the week, we put $500,000 into the budget last year, and the executive director has the ability to use those funds for mitigation and not wait 4 to 6 weeks for another board meeting and have contamination occur. So we're trying to take steps to prevent these from becoming greater and being able to address them. But I just wanted to let you know that do the landfills have any environmental impact? They do. And we are addressing them. We think, we know of no issue with life and health, but some gases and some water does leave the property with contamination. So, any questions on those?
Any questions for Brooks?
Okay. The last one, I promise, is the valley fill, and this is a big deal. That's why I want to bring this up. If you look at that map on the lower left, the orange area is 6A. That's where we're filling today. And what was permitted was to go to 6B. And that was expensive because we have to excavate all that soil. And so we have over on the south end of the property, the two hills that already exist and the valley in between. So again, that's what we've talked about before. And here it is from the air, and you can see the hill on the west and the east, that valley in between. So this is what it looks like if you take a slice or a cross section through it. The north end, and that green area represents where we could put landfill, and then the south end. So here's why I'm bringing this up. We pretty much are assured that they will approve the blue sliver, because that is mostly the valley and up a side slope of phases 1 through 4. But phases 1 through 4 is officially, as far as the state is concerned, is closed. There is roughly 5 feet of soil and clay on top of it, so it's officially done accepting waste. So what we're asking them to do is we can improve that cover, improve the gas collection system, and actually put waste in that green area. Now, that would mean for them reopening the landfill. So we're saying we're just going to add waste to the top of it. So we're still negotiating or working with them. We've gotten some support, but it's going to get pushed up to the legal level of whether we can reopen it. So I bring that up because if this adds 5 years of life, you see the revenue right now, we're making 10 million, 12 million a year. It's a $50, $60 million expansion. So we hope that they will approve it because it will extend the life by that much and mean that much additional revenue to the site. Okay, any questions on that?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so you're saying we have some support?
Yes.
Where's our support coming from?
I think it's local.
Oh, okay.
I'll double check that. But
Okay.
yes, I think, and the staff level at the state has been relatively supportive, at least in the meetings that we've had. they're just saying they don't want to make that decision because they're going to push it up to their legal. So,
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions of Brooks? Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Let's go on to item 9, proposed fiscal year 2017, 2018 operating budget, 2017, 2018 fleet budget and capital project overview. A, approve fiscal year 2017-18 operating budget. B, approve fiscal year 2017-18 fleet budget. And C, authorize the reductions and increases to the existing projects and the allocation of additional funds to new projects as presented in capital project overview funding fiscal year 2016, 2017. Anyone in the audience would like to speak on this? Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon. So the budget that you have in front of you is pretty much what you have seen already at the budget workshop and the March meeting. So I just wanted to highlight the differences that exist on this final one. So obviously on the revenue side, we dropped it by about $800,000, not necessarily because we don't think we'll get it, but because there is a chart in the budget that shows that a lot of our revenue is not contracted to stay in our county. It can go, we have those temporary contracts from the Bay Area as well that can go at any time. So we're just trying to be ultra conservative and not trying to put all our eggs in one basket because, you know, that'd be pretty terrible to budget that high and then have everything go away at one time. So we're just trying to be conservative in that regard. We also just changed a little bit, $5,000 more for janitorial expense. We hired a new custodian, so obviously we're gonna have some more supplies in regards to that. We moved some money around between office expense and publications. We're hoping to do some more advertising, radio ads and that sort of thing to better inform the public of what we're doing at the landfill, what they can do and cannot do. So we're hoping to have, you know, more informed constituents in our area. And then in the fixed assets section, we increased it by $25,500. We're going to ask for authorization to have an app developed that will be address specific, so customers can ask questions such as, what do I do with my pizza box? And, you know, and they're in a specific address, or who's my hauler? We get those questions a lot, you know, and if they download this app, they'll be better informed and be able to get that information with, you know, the touch of the smartphone. So we're hoping to be able to do that. Now, in regards to our construction projects, we are increased it by another $200,000. We want to resurface and restripe the entrance at the Highway 59 landfill. And in regards to the fleet budget, we also increased it by another $175,000. We had a more accurate quote come back, you know, from the compactor that we're buying. So we increased it by that amount. And then we also added another $25,000 for a forklift, to replace a forklift that is currently being used in our household hazardous waste area. But at the same time, we were able to identify a grant that will pay for that. So the net effect, you know, is zero in that regards. Also, I failed to mention in my staff report that we do maintain a heavy equipment replacement schedule, and we plan out for several years to get the most life out of each piece of equipment that we have. We rebuild them whenever we can, but then we replace them when it's no longer cost effective to do so. And we are also subject to the state's emission regulations that require us to maintain a certain level of tier engine average for the entire fleet, so we always have to have that in the back of our minds as well. So case in point is that compactor that we're requesting, it's over $1 million, but just so you know, it is 25 years old, and it is a tier 0 engine, and we're required to get rid of it out of our fleet by 2019. So, you know, we're trying to keep things as long as we can and keep them in good working order, but at some point we can't keep them anymore. So that's basically it. If you have any questions, I'm glad to entertain them.
Any questions? I like the idea of the interactive website. I think that's fantastic, especially with the cell phones. So if people do have questions with hazardous waste or waste, that'll include hazardous waste too, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And what's great as well is that we'll also, in those jurisdictions that want to participate, will be able to have a link on your city's website or jurisdiction's website. So customers can also go on the website through your internet.
So how would we, how far out is this, you think?
I have Jenny here working. Sorry, Jenny's a little bit more familiar. She's been working on that.
Okay.
Afternoon. So it's a few months out. It's going to take a lot of information from the haulers as well as the city of Merced, since they're their own hauler, for all the customer addresses and then the routes, so the day of service and things like that. Brooks wants me to remind you too that it can also tell the residents about how we're open on certain Saturdays, longer hours on the first Saturdays of the month, as well as Saturdays following holidays. So it'll have a calendar, so when it tells them their service date, let's say they have a cardboard box, what do I do with it? It tells them, place their cardboard box, flatten it, and place it into your curbside can, put it on the curb at such and such time on such and such day, because it's all routed, or by your route address. And then it can also have, that Saturday, it'll tell you if it's like a hazardous waste collection event, or if it's a cleanup event, or if it's longer hours at the landfill.
So then how long would it take to get all the jurisdictions online?
It sounds like it's going to take, and it's just one platform, so it's going to be a couple months, and then with that one platform, then it can be duplicated across the different jurisdictions' web pages.
Okay.
So it does sound, if we're hoping by the beginning of this current or upcoming fiscal year, so around maybe July, August, but I will say at the latest, maybe September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, this is an action item. So do I have a motion to approve all three, A, B, and C at one time? Okay, do I have a second? There's a motion by O'Banion, second by McDaniels. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None, carried. Okay, let's go on to item 10, Merced County Regional Waste Management Authority financial reports. Nadia?
So again, this is an informational item only, but I did want to highlight, we're really doing really well revenue-wise. We met 97% of our revenue goal ending March 31st, so it's really a wonderful surprise that, better than the other way around. So we're doing really good that way, and we're expense-wise as well, we're right on target. I did want to mention in regards to Billy Wright, part of the reason why we're doing so well is because it used to be the average sales at Billy Wright was about 110,000, and now we're about 290 a month. So that's really fantastic, and that's why we're able to reach those revenue goals, exceed them, and put away money to buy equipment and do other things that we need to do as well. So.
Okay. Any questions? Any questions of the public? Okay, thank you, Nadia. Let's go on to item 11, oral report, Transit Joint Powers Authority for Merced County, Merced County monthly update. Rich? Rich, can you lend Brooks your forklift?
Yeah, thank you.
That was never mind.
These things happen. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Just a couple quick updates. We now have our new dispatch software installed. All the data has been converted. So this will help with our paratransit and dial-a-ride service. They're in the process now of scheduling training for all of our dispatchers, and then training for all the operators to use the new tablets, and then those will get installed. We estimate that we'll be double booking all calls for about 3 weeks. I anticipate it'll be less than that once we get up and running. And then the tentative actual go-live date is June 12th. So we'll be on board with the new system and up and running. It will allow, it'll automatically send folks a text message if they have a cell phone in our system when the bus is 10 minutes away from picking them up, which will not only help to get them ready, but it'll help us with our no-shows. So if they can call us or text us back saying, I don't need the bus, then we can turn around and go somewhere else. And then the phone callback, where we'll actually call them on a landline, and the web portal where they'll be able to book their own calls is scheduled to be operational in July. So it's about another month out to get that all set up. But we are making progress on it. And then the other thing I wanted to mention in response to public comment at the last meeting, all of our clean air diesel buses did go through what's called an opacity test, and they all passed. So the emissions on all of our diesel buses are indeed clean air. I just want to share that with you. And then we had fun at the Los Banos Fair. We had staff was there. I was fortunately I was in DC, but unfortunately I was not able to go to the fair. But we also have the Merced Fair coming up. So that's a kind of a big deal for us. And if you have seen it, I think we have a billboard out on 59. We're going to try something new to get advertisement out for the free fare for the fair. And so that's it, if you have any questions.
Okay. Any questions for Rich on item 11, information only? Okay, let's go on to item 12. Transit Joint Powers Authority for Merced County fiscal year 2017, 2018 draft budget. Anyone in the audience would like to speak on that? Okay, Rich?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's very similar to the draft budget and the workshop. As Nadia said, we did a lot of work preparing for the workshop. However, there were a few changes. With Measure V, what we did was we added a $150,000 placeholder in our operation budget for the free fare for seniors, veterans, and ADA on the fixed route. So that's covered. And in the new handout that I gave you, it also has the remaining $600,000 budgeted for future capital. So at least the money is accounted for, even though it won't be spent in the next fiscal year, and we'll just carry it forward. But we wanted to at least show where the money was intended to go. So there was that, and of course, SB1. We had to incorporate that, which meant that we have more state transit assistance funds coming in. And then we also adjusted for the other side of that, which is our increase in tax on gas and diesel. So we added the revenue and the expense for that as well. I believe that was it. There was some slight changes in our LTF operations and capital. The LTF operations went down 1.7 million because of the increase in the STA funds. But we also made sure we had enough funds to cover the new operations and maintenance facilities we talked before in the last workshop, which is roughly about $3 million. And then in addition to that, there's an FTA program called 5339, which can be used, they call it low-no, which low and no emission buses is essentially what it's for. But we've had conversations with Caltrans and FTA about this, and that we can use these funds to rehab an existing transit facility. We can't use it for the new facility, but we can use it for example, some rehab to the transpo. So we're working with the city on how we can possibly do some work there. But I wanted to make sure it was included into the budget so that we could figure out how we're going to spend it throughout the year. So those are major changes to the budget.
Are there any questions? Okay. This is an action item. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Okay. It's been moved by Oliveira, second by Lohr, to approve item 12, Transit Joint Powers Authority, Merced County fiscal year 2017-2018 budget, draft budget. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None. Carried. Let's go on to item 13, Transit Joint Powers Authority for Merced County financial report for third quarter 2017. This information item only. Christina?
I'll take this.
Okay.
Christina has the bug as well, so I'm going to spare her voice as well. So what you have in your packet is the profit and loss budget versus actual report for the third quarter. That's the period July 1, 2016 through March 31st, 2017. And if there's any questions, Christina will have to take them.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? Any questions from directors? Okay. It's information only. Let's go on to 14. Automatic vehicle location, real-time passenger information, extended contract. Rich, item 14.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would anyone in the public like to speak on this? Okay, Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We have an AVL system, automatic vehicle locator system, on our buses. The company is called Synchromatics. We've had them for about 4 or 5 years. The The hardware still has probably another year or so of useful life. So rather than go out to RFP to replace that now, I think we maybe should extend the contract another year. And then we'll look at next year doing an RFP for a new system when we have to replace the hardware.
Okay, questions from anyone? Okay, then the motion would be to authorize the interim executive director to enter into a sole source agreement with Synchromatics for 1 year with the option to extend up to 6 months in the amount not to exceed $50,000. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Murphy, second by whom? Pereira. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Welcome, Lloyd. Okay, let's go on to item 15, Low Carbon Transit Operations Program Allocation Request. Item 15, adopt resolution number 2217 or 05-18-04, authorizing execution or allocation of funds for a free fare program for Low Carbon Transit Operations Program. Is there anyone in public who would like to speak on item 15? Rich?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is what we call the LC TOP program. And we've used this program for several years to provide free fares. We've used this to cover the fares on the free fare for the fair days. We've done a dump the pump day, free fares. We did a spare the air month in August last year. And this money, the funds fluctuate every year. It's a different amount. It's based on the sale of the carbon credits. We're assuming that we'll continue with this program of offering some free fare days throughout the year. And that's about it.
Okay. All right. This is an action item. Okay. Moved by O'Banion, second by? Okay. I'll go with Lloyd. Okay. It's moved by O'Banion, second by Pereira. All in favor? Aye. And I've only heard 2 ayes. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Yes.
Abstain. Full disclosure, I am a director on the Fair Board that the free fare for the fair will be benefiting from.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that includes the Merced Fair, correct? Yes. Okay. That's why. All right. Motion carried with 1 abstention from Director Lohr. Let's go on to Merced County Association of Governments. Let's go on to Caltrans report. Steve?
That hurt.
Oh,
It's okay. I've been called worse. I'm Tom Dumas. I'm the Chief of Metropolitan Planning.
Tom.
Technically Steve's boss, but that's okay. I like sending him down.
Okay.
He gets a kick out of coming down here.
Okay.
Couple of quick things. April 28th, SB 1 got signed into law. Good news is we're going to have a lot of money to start working on a lot of repairs throughout the state and locally. Bad news is we're all going to pitch in a little bit, but it won't hurt too bad on gas tax unless you're like I am, you drive 30,000 miles a year and you drive a Suburban instead of a Honda that I have, so sorry about that one. We did a litter pickup on April 20th. Throughout the district, it was kind of our statewide earth cleanup day. Here in Merced, they picked up over 361 bags of trash along mainly 99 and 152. You may have noticed the highway is a bit cleaner now. Hopefully it stays that way for a while. I think last year we spent over $67 million picking up trash. And as I recall, the total of trash they picked up last year was about 50 miles of dump trucks lined up end to end throughout the state.
Probably most of it on 99, though.
Quite a bit. There's a couple of construction projects starting here in mid-May that should be through August late or so. They're going to work on 165 in Hillmar at Fowler. Going to be a realigning highway, installing left-hand turn pockets, and some drainage work, that sort of thing. And they're also going to work down on Highway 59 in Merced near the Mission and West Dickinson Ferry interchange. They'll be also installing left-hand turn pockets there. If you have a chance, the new Caltrans website has A lot of nice features that make it a lot more user-friendly. If you get a chance, please go to it. You can go to the district and find all the projects we have listed. It's like on a Google map, you click it, it'll pull them all up. You click on the little icon, it'll tell you what's going on and what to expect in there. So it's very helpful. I got on it the other day and I quite frankly was very surprised. It was very helpful for me. So I hope you get a chance to use that. And a somber note, we held our annual Fallen Workers Memorial April 27th. Last year, Caltrans did lose one more employee to fatality while doing work on the state highway. It brings us to 185 employees that have been killed since 1921 on the job. The ceremony was held up in Sacramento. A lot of districts held them on their own, but the one in Sacramento is the main state one, and there was about 1,000 people there to pay their respects for the fallen workers. It was a very nice ceremony. Other than that, everything else is okay. Any questions or comments? Normal complaints?
Any questions of Tom? Yes, go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. You recently had your conference, is that correct? The Caltrans conference?
The California Transportation Planners?
Transportation, okay, so.
Yes.
Is that,
The California Transportation Planning Conference that was over
I think
in
so.
Walnut Creek?
Yes, is that
Yes.
Caltrans?
Well, we're a sponsor of it,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Highlights from it
Oh.
that you might be able to share?
There, oh geez, that's a long one. Stacy was there too, so it was a good conference. It had a lot of attendees. We had a lot of discussion on alternate transit. A great speaker from New York, a lady who worked diligently there to basically transform pedestrian access in the cities. A lot of access alternatives for what you can do in urbanized areas. I tried to catch her afterward and find out what else we could do for smaller areas, but unfortunately she's from New York City and our district is about a neighborhood there. But a lot of the other things were about transportation, freight. I found out something I didn't know, that Walmart, about a third of their traffic that they have is actually hauling someone else's freight in their empty containers coming back, which surprised me, quite frankly. I didn't realize that. But if you'd like, I could send you links for it, and the book also. I did pick up a free book out of the deal. It was pretty nice.
Thank you.
Mike?
City of Dos Palos wanted to extend their gratitude for your department's attention to what was called the Dos Palos Pork Chop at the last MCAG meeting.
I'm glad they took care of that. I still look at that project and scratch my head as to how they wound up with a pork chop there, but that was interesting. I don't know why they put a pork chop in that, but that was not my doing, so it's something I'm still trying to find.
Okay, Mr. Pereira? No.
Lloyd Pereira, County Supervisor for District 4, so Highway 59 north, north of Bellevue. And I get a lot of complaints from residents that live between Bellevue and the Merced County Regional Waste Management Authority, or the disposal site, on trash, anyways, so what I was hoping is that maybe Caltrans, Brooks, Stater, as they've cleaned up out there, and I know you guys have too, but maybe just coordinate a little better that we can get kind of a schedule where it might happen on a more regular basis.
Or if you know of anyone who'd like to adopt the highway there, Kathy Cocaine of our office is our Adopt a Highway person. I'd be glad to connect them with them, because it would be very, very beneficial to everybody if we could have some local citizens step in also. But I'll work with our maintenance department. I know we spend a lot of time picking up garbage, but not nearly enough. But the same could be said with maintaining the highways and filling potholes. As soon as we fill one, another happens. But I'll talk to them about it and see if maybe next time they do something, they can coordinate with Rich.
All right, sounds good, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tom.
That was pretty easy, thank you.
All right, let's go on to item 17, information discussion only. MCAG newsletter, May 2017, Tibbs Quarterly Program Report Plan, March 2017, Technical Review Board minutes for May 10th, 2017. Anyone in the audience want to comment on any of those? Okay, this is information only. Any directors comment? All right, let's go on to item 18. 2017-2018 budget and overall work program. Christina?
I'll take this
You're
again.
Christina.
This is consistent with the draft that was distributed and presented at the budget workshop earlier this spring. So if you'd like me to go through details, I can, or Christine is here to answer questions, but it's consistent with what you've seen before.
Any questions? Motion? Anyone in the audience want to speak? Okay. Motion? Okay. Who was the second? Okay. Motion by O'Banion, second by Alex McCabe. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Let's go on to item 19, award contract for 2018 Regional Transportation Plan. Authorize the interim executive director to enter into a contract for the consultant to prepare a 2018 Regional Transportation Plan. The not-to-exceed amount to prepare for the 2018 Regional Transportation Plan is $325,000. Okay?
Thank you. Staff released a request for proposals to bring on a consultant to prepare the 2018 RTP. That was released on March 24th, and responses were due by April 27th. With those two proposals, there was a consultant selection committee that was comprised of Matt Fell of our senior planner at MCAG and senior transportation staff from Tulare County Association of Governments and Madera County Transportation Commission. They reviewed those proposals independently and used the criteria that was listed in the RFP to make a selection. And at this time, we are looking for authorization to enter into contract with that consultant to prepare the 2018 RTP. And I will mention that this scope of work does include a really extensive public outreach component. The board approved our public outreach plan, I believe, in September. And so this team will be not only developing our RTP, but also handling all of our public outreach activities.
Okay, any comments from the public? Directors, any comments? Do I have a motion? Yes. Would you use the microphone?
What was the amount in the second bid? Or have there been bids at this point?
It wasn't based on amount, but I believe, and I'm going to look at Alicia, that the totals were pretty similar. But it actually is based on a number of factors. So you're looking at cost and responsiveness to the criteria and requirements and experience and everything else. So the cost of the two proposals came in a nominal difference, if any at all.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just accustomed to staff reports being a little bit more thorough and expressing why one firm or another or showing the financial difference. So in the future, I would like to see more detailed reports from staff. And we're doing RFPs, we're making decisions.
Sure.
Or if you can quickly just tell me why you chose this one over the other firm.
Sure. I can, but I do want to make one point of clarification is that, the action that the board takes is to authorize the expenditure of funds, not in the selection of between the consultants. So we can always share that information, but I don't know that it can be part of the decision as to whether or not granting the authorization to use the funds. I'm looking at council.
You wanna? Yeah.
I mean, the board members are obviously entitled to that information
Sure.
and can use it in making their decisions, but like, as you said, ultimately, the board's decision is authorizing the expenditure of funds, not in selecting the contract.
But I'll be happy to share. They were both very well qualified, well-known firms. The team that was selected had a more comprehensive team put together with a number of different sub-consultants. So it came down to the detail of how they would be working with our staff in the various components. But we had two very solid applications. Mm-hmm.
Okay, any more questions? This action item, do I have a motion? Okay, do I have a second? Okay, motion by McDaniel, second by O'Banion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Item 20, Measure V Citizens Oversight Committee appointments. Appoint the following candidates to the Measure V Citizens Advisory Oversight Committee. Any comments from the public? Directors? Do I have a second? Yes.
The city of Livingston,
No,
our city representation.
no, we didn't. I've been in contact when I was getting close to the deadline and I hadn't received one. I reached out to Betty. So we're working on that, but we didn't receive any by the deadline. But we should, I have every expectation from my conversations with Betty that you all will be moving one forward by their June board meeting.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay, so I had a motion by O'Banion, second by whom? McDaniels. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None. Carried. Okay, let's go on to item 21. Contract authorization for augmented staffing services. Authorize the interim executive director to enter into a contract for augmented staffing services in the amount not to exceed $125,000. Stacy?
Thank you. So we released an RFP for these augmented staff services on May 5th. They are due to our procurement office by May 23rd, so that's next week. The idea behind this is in recognizing, as you all know, there is a lot to be done to roll out Measure V. And so recognizing our staff shortages and we've never rolled out a measure before, we're looking to bring on assistance through a consultant to basically help us roll out the program. So in your staff report, you can see a listed of activities that this consultant would be working on, and that's everything from developing the strategic or implementation plan for the measure to developing our communication strategies, branding materials, a Measure V website that would include a mechanism to track projects and costs and timelines for projects on that website. Conducting public events, doing the presentations and updates, also working with our Citizens Oversight Committee to develop the annual report. So this is essentially, as it sounds, augmented staff services to have a consultant essentially and also potentially be working in the MCAG office up to 2 days a week so that we have that interaction with the jurisdictions.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Any comments from staff or directors?
Move to approve.
Okay, motion by McCabe, second by Oliveira. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None. Carried. Item 22, Measure V financial advisor. Direct staff to procure a financial advisor to educate and inform staff, member jurisdictions, and a governing board of a range of transportation project financing tools available through Measure V. Stacy?
Thank you. At the May 10th Technical Review Board meeting, there was some discussion about bonding and different finance tools for Measure V for project delivery, and the discussion culminated with a request to bring this item to the board to provide staff with direction on if there's an interest to procure a financial advisor for Measure V. The initial idea is to have someone come on to offer maybe up to maybe three meetings or workshops for the governing board, for the technical review board, key jurisdiction staff, budget staff, to understand what kind of tools are out there for project delivery with Measure V, including bonding. So, and then if there's an interest beyond that, we would, want to have some additional services to move forward if the board were to make those decisions. So this is just for that initial informational opportunity.
Okay. Anyone in the public want to comment? Director's comments? And this is an action item?
Second.
Okay, motion by Pereira, second by O'Banion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None. Carried. Funding request for the Atwater Merced Expressway Phase B Project Study Report. Adopt resolution number 2017-05 8-18-03, which appropriates an additional $284,000 fiscal year 2017-2018 PPM funds for the preparation of the PSR equivalent to the AME Phase B, 1B, and to authorize the interim executive director to execute 2017-2018 Caltrans PPM agreement, and authorize the interim executive director to execute an amendment to the funding agreement with the County of Merced to prepare the PSR equivalent. Audience, any comments? Directors? Okay, do I have a second? Okay, all right, let's go with McDaniels and O'Banion as the second. Just one comment, I'm hoping that I'm in favor of this, but I'm hoping when it comes down to when we have start our projects and on the west side, that not all the funds for the planning come out of the Measure V funds, and we have the same opportunity on the west side for projects too. Okay, with that, all in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Okay. Let's go on to item 24. Unmet transit needs finding of fact for fiscal year 2017-2018. Adopt resolution number 2017/05-18-01 with the finding of fact that there are unmet transit needs, including needs that are reasonable to meet, and approve the unmet transit needs 2017-2018 analysis and recommendations report. Audience, any comments? Directors? It's an action item. Wait a minute, I think we have a comment.
Did you, Stacy, did you want to say something?
I can. I will just mention, this is our annual unmet transit needs process, and this year I will point out that there, as stated in the staff report, that there were unmet transit needs that were determined to be reasonable to meet, and those were offering Braille schedules for the visually impaired, and also a communication option like texting with the administrative office for people that were hearing impaired. So those are both were identified as needs that were reasonable to meet, and the transit administration will be working on those in the coming year.
Okay, any comments from directors? Okay, I had a motion from O'Banion. Do I have a second? Oh, you have a question? Go.
Thank you. No, I wanted staff to speak before I ask questions. And forgive me because I'm new. I can use that for a little bit.
Don't worry about it. You're absolutely fine.
When I look at the report, I'm thinking this is a reflection of Merced County as a community. And one fault that I have is details. So on page 2 and page 3 of the report, the first bullet at the bottom on page 2, the third line says many citizens complained. Pet peeve, but I'd like to see a different word, maybe express.